Welcome to the Sports Watchdog radio show, hosted by Mason Kern. He keeps his nose to the ground to report on what's trending in professional and college sports, to inform, enlighten, and entertain. And now it's
the Sports Watchdog.
The Sports Watchdog, Mason Kern.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Sports Watchdog radio show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm Mason Kern here with you every Sunday from 7:30 to 8 a.m. and I'm obviously certainly glad you decided to join me this morning. And as always, I do have some great stuff in my kennel. Today we're going to be talking to former WWE superstar and upcoming MMA fighter Jack Swagger, as well as former NFL linebacker Rennie Curran. I'll also be covering some sports hot topics and, for you basketball-specific fans, interesting happenings on the hardwood. So we send it on over to the Diamond in our first stop, and guys, I know I haven't said that in a while, but yes, baseball is back. Opening day was this past Thursday, as I'm sure you guys all know. Diamondbacks are back in action, but I kind of want to break down some of the winners and losers from opening day, in my opinion. So we'll start off with the Diamondbacks. They faced the Colorado Rockies in kind of a rematch of the wild card berth from last postseason, where the Diamondbacks obviously won to advance to the playoffs. But it was kind of a rematch. Rockies coming to Chase Field to take on the Diamondbacks. And the Diamondbacks, even without JD Martinez, they looked really good. Their offense was firing. They ended up winning the game 8-2. And Jake Lamb really stepped up for this team. He had 4 RBIs in that game. Also, new acquisitions, Alex Avila, the catcher, and then the outfielder Gerard Dyson also contributed some RBIs as well. One point of concern possibly is out of the 12 hits that the Diamondbacks that they put on, only 3 of them went for extra base hits. So that means 9 of them were only singles. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, I guess, because they were able to put up 8 runs and win that game 8-2, like I said. The bullpen looked really good. They started Patrick Corbin, who usually didn't get the start that much last season, but he gets his first win on the mound for the Diamondbacks. And I mean, it was really impressive because he threw 5.2 innings and struck out 8 players. So that was a very good performance for him. And then Archie Bradley came in for some relief. He threw 1.2 innings of just great pitching, shut down the kind of the heart of Colorado's lineup. And then without Fernando Rodney, they're kind of having to shuffle around the bullpen. Yoshi Hirano came in, stepped in his first MLB game. So the bullpen did pretty well, held Colorado to 2 runs, like I said. Diamondbacks win 8-2. But also around the league, there were a lot of different storylines. I mean, Giancarlo Stanton made his debut for the Yankees, and man, he had a game, let me tell you that. His first at-bat, home run, dinger, 426 feet. He crushed that ball to the opposite side of the field, so that was just completely really hard to do. And then he had 2 other hits as well. One of them was another home run, so he finished his Bronx debut with 3 hits, 2 of them for home runs, 4 RBIs, and a 6-1 win. So that was definitely a great step in the right direction for this Yankees organization. I'm sure they're very happy. And then we shift over to the San Francisco Giants, maybe a positive note for the Diamondbacks. The Los Angeles Dodgers did start off the year 0-1 as they dropped the opening day contest to the San Francisco Giants. Very surprising because their ace pitcher Madison Bumgarner got injured in spring training, so there were really low expectations for Ty Blatch, and Blatch, he really stepped up, man. I mean, he only has a 90-mile-per-hour fastball, but used his changeup, threaded the needle against this Los Angeles Dodgers team, and Kershaw was not able to stop this San Francisco offense. Obviously, it was a very low-scoring game, only 1-0, but still, I mean, it was definitely a good direction for this Giants team. Definitely good for the Diamondbacks, as the Dodgers are kind of their bitter rival in the NL West. Moving over to the Los Angeles Angels now, there was another loser in Mike Trout, which is kind of a rare sentence, rare words to put together, loser and Mike Trout. But, I mean, he had a career first on opening day this past Thursday. He had 6 trips to the plate and 0 hits against an Athletics team, an Oakland A's team, who featured Kendall Graveman on the mound, as well as Yusmeiro Petit, Blake Treinen, and Chris Hatcher, all of which kept him off the board in an 11-inning loss for the Los Angeles Angels. and he struck out on the last out, just kind of capped off a really poor game for him. But, I mean, he'll definitely find a way to bounce back. I mean, it's a long season, so not too worried about the Angels or Mike Trout at all. But opening day, man, we are in the middle of baseball season now. We are in the thick of it. Diamondbacks get a victory on opening day, finish out the series with the Rockies. I predict them to be a probably mid to high 80s wins team, even with the loss of JD Martinez. So we'll have to wait and see if that prediction comes true and see where this Diamondbacks organization can go from here, see if they can make a World Series push. As always, hit me up on social media and let me know what you think about these and other trending sports topics at A Sports Watchdog on Twitter and at The Sports Watchdog on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well. Now, speaking of social media, there was a lot of action going around the NHL world this past week as the Chicago Blackhawks kind of went in a completely different direction, kind of got the social media world stirring a little bit because they had to make an emergency goalie call. And it's kind of funny, 36-year-old accountant Scott Foster was called into immediate emergency action for the Chicago Blackhawks in their game, and he played 14 minutes on NHL ice. He was called up by at 10 a.m. that same day. He was punching in numbers, being an accountant, doing his job, and then later he gets the call to be a goalie in an NHL game, and he shut out all 7 shots against him. He went perfect 7 for 7 in saves, stopped all 7 shots against him. Really surprising. And the Chicago Blackhawks, they needed him because their main goalie, their starter, Anton Forsberg, was hurt during what their coach described as a pregame ritual. And then backup Colin Delia cramped up early in the third period. So they relied on Scott Foster to kind of come in, provide some relief effort. And like I said, no goals allowed. So definitely really impressive. Possibly even a chance to maybe sign him, in my opinion. I mean, put on a good performance in 14 minutes. Obviously only played recreationally before this. And then comes out and makes 7 saves against NHL talent. I think that's definitely really impressive. Definitely a great story. And we'll see what the future holds for Mr. Scott Foster. All right, guys. Once again, you're tuned in to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060.
In the bright Arizona sun and even on cloudy days, protecting your eyes from dangerous UV rays is important. Now finding fashionable and functional sunglasses is easier and more budget-friendly than ever thanks to sunglasswarehouse.com. They offer an array of stylish sunnies that won't break the bank. With hundreds of designs for every activity, you're certain to find a pair that fits your needs and lifestyle. Check them out at sunglasswarehouse.com.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. I'm Mason Kern, and on the line with us now is former 9-year WWE superstar and upcoming Bellator MMA fighter Jake Hager, who many know as Jack Swagger from his time with the WWE. Bellator recently announced that it has reached a multi-fight, multi-year deal with Swagger, through which he'll make his MMA debut inside a Bellator cage as a heavyweight this year. Hailing from Perry, Oklahoma, Jack became a collegiate wrestler at the University of Oklahoma, where he was an All-American, setting the school record for most pins at the 285-pound weight class in a single season with 30. Following a graduation and a conversation with legendary pro wrestling announcer and fellow Oklahoma Sooner Jim Ross, Jack made the transition to pro wrestling and signed with the WWE. During his 9-year run with the organization, he would go on to claim multiple coveted professional titles, including the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, ECW Championship, and the WWE United States Championship. After ending his relationship with the organization earlier this year, Jack turned his sights toward another avenue, fully focusing on mixed martial arts and testing himself against some of the best athletes in the world. Swagger is the latest in a long line of high-profile signings Bellator has made recently and joins a heavyweight division that'll crown a champion in 2018 through the recently announced 8-man Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix. So Jack is here to give us some intel on his past WWE experiences, his new foray into MMA, and his engagement with Bellator. Hey Jack, welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show. So excited that you can share some swagger with us.
Hey, Mason. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the beautiful introduction. I don't know if we need to do an interview now after that.
Yeah, I know. Well, I just I thought I'd give you the proper intro. It might not be as grand as the WWE, but hey, it's the best that I could do here. But I'll start off first and kind of most obvious. What prompted you, Jack, to kind of make the move from wrestling to mixed martial arts? Was there really a particular moment or a situation that sparked that transition for you?
It all goes back to about 5 years ago in 2013. My manager is a good friend of mine. We wrestled together at Oklahoma. His name is Danny Rubenstein, and he was managing another teammate of mine named Matt Grice. And I lived in Tampa, and Matt was fighting in Tampa, and we all got together for the fight, got to see each other and catch up. And I think that's really when I first got the bug in my ear when I saw it live. I got up, in the cage, up close and personal, and it got in my ear, and we always talked about it, and it just kind of grew grew into something that it grew from something that I wanted to do to something that I know I can do, and we just took it from there. And then it was waiting for the right time. Schedule-wise, it was very tough to do a lot of training while I was with the WWE, to see if my body could handle the training still, see, where I was with striking and kicking and all that fun stuff. And like 2017 rolled around, it really became clear that I needed to do this because it was becoming, sports this type of sport is like becoming the most popular in the world, whether it's pro wrestling or MMA. You can't deny how huge it's becoming. So it's a great time to be a fighter. And so a couple of those things mixed together are really what jumped it off.
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely really excited to see you make your debut in 2018 with Bellator. Now, going back to your WWE days, I mean, you had such a long and successful career with them over that 9-year span. So what kind of prompted you to call it quits now? What was kind of the main reason, would you say?
I didn't. I left because of how they valued me. The money I made over the 9-year career, and what they're trying to offer me for the next 5-year contract. It didn't add up. They were getting the deal, and I wasn't. So I went on a personal mission to invest in myself and see what I can do with it. And I'm pretty confident I'm going to be successful, even though it's very scary leaving a big company like that and going at it on your own.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, you've always been self-proclaimed very confident, definitely. And going back, I mean, I mentioned earlier you were an All-American in Oklahoma at the University of Oklahoma when you were wrestling. So is that kind of where your kind of trademark, the All-American came from, or is that kind of how that came to be?
Yeah. It was a play on the All-American honors that I earned in college, and as they like to do, hype everything up. They want the real you just magnified. So I had to add that extra American. It's funny how it worked with the character. It was cool.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely kind of had a large fan base and very well known as that persona, but now you kind of go in the direction of fighting and a completely different style of fighting at that. So you go into MMA now, where now it's kicking and all this other stuff, where the training you mentioned, it's a lot more intense, and you got to see if you're ready. And you've been quoted as saying, I think there are certain types of guys who need to be punched in the face and taste blood. So I thought that was pretty funny. So did you, because I know Batista and CM Punk have also kind of gone the MMA route. So have you reached out to anyone, or are you kind of just going all in on yourself and kind of taking this by the balls?
Well, I'm definitely going all in. That's for sure. Anybody who goes into MMA kind of is going all in. But I got a lot of great people around me and helping me. I reached out to Dave. He's my neighbor. He lives by me, He's been instrumental in training. I pretty much am stealing his camp and his team, or he's letting me borrow them, pretty much. Josh Rafferty, he's a mad scientist. He's an ex-UFC fighter, 20-year veteran of the sport, and he's great for boxing, striking, and the mental aspects. He's great for training. It pushes me. Just a very special person to be along this journey with me on. And the great Joey Best, probably Tampa's best-kept jiu-jitsu secret. He has a mullet. He wears jean shorts and a wife beater, and he walks into tournaments bumping Hulk Hogan music to psych everyone out. Yeah.
Spoken like a true experienced MMA fighter at that. Jack Swagger, everyone. Thank you so much. Last question for you, Jack. Do you potentially ever see a return to WWE, or do you think you're done for good?
Oh, with WWE, you never say never. I'm going out here, with a little bit of chip on my shoulder. So, of course, I'd love the opportunity to come back there and finish what we started. But the timing's got to be right. And right now, MMA needs to get some swagger. So we're going to do that first.
There we go. MMA needs to get some swagger. They'll have plenty of it. Jack Swagger, thank you so much for your time. We can't wait to watch you do your thing. Get some bruises, give some bruises. It's an exciting time for sure. Where can listeners go to get more info?
Oh, yeah, man. You can follow all my stuff at realjackswagger.com. It's updated daily. You can find my professional wrestling shows that I'm doing, any signings or conventions that I'm doing there. Follow me on Twitter, realjackswagger, Instagram, realjackswagger. Facebook is under Jake Hager. I don't know who that guy is. So.
Yeah, he's the one who's going to the MMA now, I guess.
Yeah. But if you really want the good stuff, follow my wife, Catalina Swagger, on Twitter, and she'll keep you guys all laughing.
There we go. So, Jack Swagger, everybody, thank you so much again. All right, everyone, the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060. We'll be right back after this.
Be prepared for those rainy days with Weatherman, the only umbrella blending unmatched quality with smart technology and ingenious design, led by meteorologist Rick Reckmuth. The Weatherman app pairs with the Pebblebee Bluetooth tracker to detect the forecast, then provides alerts when you need to take your umbrella along. A tracker also ensures you will always know where to find your umbrella when needed. Visit weathermanumbrella.com to learn more.
Welcome back to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060. I'm your host, Mason Kern, and on the line now is former NFL linebacker Rennie Curran. Rennie was selected in the third round of the 2010 NFL Draft as the 97th pick by the Tennessee Titans, a career that also led him to time on the field with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At 5'11", many NFL and even college scouts and GMs had Rennie written off as someone who wouldn't be able to compete at as high a level as other athletes, but he was quickly able to eradicate that stigma entirely. In fact, during his time in college, he became one of the most prominent linebackers in University of Georgia history. A true bulldog at heart, Rennie has spent his entire career proving naysayers wrong. Now in retirement from the NFL, Rennie has since become a speaker, certified professional development coach, and author. He published his first motivational self-help book in 2013 titled Free Agent: Intangible Assets for Overcoming Adversity and Times of Transition. And he recently published his first children's book titled What Does It Take to Be a Star? So Rennie is here to catch us up on all of his exciting endeavors and chat a bit about his time on the gridiron as well. Hey Rennie, welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you again for coming on. So first off, let me just say congratulations really on the success you've had in your post-NFL career. So what can you tell us a bit about your life now as an entrepreneur and certified professional development coach? What exactly do you do in that capacity?
Man, so luckily for me, unlike a lot of athletes who make it to the professional level, I was actually able to start building my personal brand and start working on my life after while I was playing. And it was definitely tough because I was balancing playing football, and then during my off time or in the off season, I would, train and then throw a suit on and head to a business meeting or do a speaking engagement, or I would be working on my book or something productive And even though it was tough back then, now it's really, really paying off because when I'm done, which is what you find with most players, I'm not starting from ground zero. You know, I already had a brand built, my website built,
Definitely.
all those things that you kind of need to start off as an entrepreneur. So when it came to me transitioning and now my post life, it's really just me doing more of what I've always been doing, which is going into schools, businesses, other organizations, and just inspiring their teams, working with them strategically to help them reach their fullest potential. So that's how it's been most of my days. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm a father, which is one of my most important jobs. I have a 9-year-old daughter. So, you know, really just balancing business, being a father, being in, you know, all those other roles that I play in my life.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said before, an author as well. So what inspired you really to write the book, Free Agent Intangible Assets for Overcoming Adversity in Times of Transition? And what will readers primarily gain from reading this?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. So when I wrote the book or when I started writing it, I was really just trying to vent. And I was in a very frustrating time in my life. I had been cut from the team I was originally drafted by, the Tennessee Titans. You know, the coaching staff got fired. They brought in 2 new linebackers in the NFL draft, which is something that most people don't think about. You know, somebody gets drafted, somebody else is going to have to go, especially if you're talking about having a new regime. And so I found myself back home where it all started, back at my parents' house. And I was just kind of in a no man's land. And I realized, like, after several weeks of just training and not hearing anything, that, you know, I can't just let the time go to waste. I can't just wait on somebody to give me an opportunity. And I realized also, too, that so many other people were going to be in this position in life. And so when I started writing, I thought about that person who maybe would end up hearing a no or going through some type of adversity. Maybe they lost their job, or maybe they lost a business that they had been working on for a long time, or maybe they went through a divorce, or, you know, for a lot of us millennials who are coming out of college, maybe that for that person who didn't get that job right away and just kind of stuck at their parents' house wondering what they're going to do with the rest of their life. So I thought about all those people when I wrote the book. And so when it comes to what the reader will get out of it, number one is inspiration. And then number 2 is really just guidance and different tips on how to maximize like that time when you're in that no man's land, time in life, just trying to figure out and push through. How do you maintain that? How do you develop confidence and self-motivation and discipline and humility, all those things that can help you so that when you come out on the other side of it, that you're a better person and that you're stronger and mentally tougher. So those are all the things that I kind of talk about in the book. And it's really about, you know, personal development, about bettering yourself, and when everything around you tells you that you should just give up.
It's definitely got to be extremely empowering, I'm sure. And I mean, like I said before, you've obviously had to overcome so much adversity. So switching gears a bit now relative to your athletic career, I want to ask about your college years and the recruiting process. I mean, obviously with the issues surrounding your height, how did you deal with what some of those college recruiters might have said, oh, you're not good enough to play at this level? How did you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest way I deal with it is I just went to work, man. Like every time I heard that, every time I heard I was too short, every time I heard that, you know, we're not sure that this guy has the ability to play in Division I at University of Georgia, it just made me push that much harder. And I had, you know, different things that I was fighting for, man. I had my family who was struggling at that time. You know, I knew I had a lot of younger kids who were looking up to me, so I just used all those negative things that I heard, even the newspaper clippings, things like that, as fuel. And I got in that weight room and killed myself, man. I mean, I tell people all the time, I left, like my record still stands to this day at my high school, both on the field, in the weight room, all those things. You know, left benching 425, squatting 515, cleaning 320 pounds.
Wow.
You know, I had 198 tackles my junior year. So I just basically turned myself into a machine. And then off the field, I tried to do everything I could to set myself apart. I mean, you talk about like just having good character, having good leadership skills. And then I did everything I could too to pass the eye test as well. So when I went to University of Georgia, me and some of the coaches still joke about this today, but I would wear my Timberland boots so I get like an extra two inches so I look a little bit taller. And
there
then I wear like a hoodie so I could look a little bit bigger. I mean, I was just determined, man, whatever I had to do to get that edge and to get that opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously it worked out for you. You were able to make it to the NFL, get drafted. And before that, though, once you were at UGA, you finally made it to Division I college football. Is there anything in particular there that kind of motivated you? How were you able to make such an impact so early on to the point where you were able to leave school early in order to go to the NFL?
Man, number one, it started up with me just getting fed up, like, for greatness. That's one thing one of my mentors, Ray Lewis, he always talked about, like, getting fed up, getting pissed off for greatness. And that's what happened, like, my freshman year. Like, they didn't redshirt me, but I wasn't getting on the field. And I started just getting frustrated, just saying, man, why didn't they redshirt me? Why am I out here? Why did they even bring me here? And all of a sudden, I was just like, man, I don't care. Like, I'm going to work as hard as I can. I don't care how many sprints I got to run. I don't care how many times I got to go in the weight room by myself, film room by myself. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to sacrifice. And so that's what I did, man. I got in there while nobody's watching, started studying the greats. I started watching guys like Thomas Davis and, so many other players who played there before. Odell Thurman is another one who I studied. Tony Taylor, he's another Georgia great linebacker who I studied. And I just watched these guys, and then, like, weeks and weeks went by where I was just basically a shadow. I was like second string, sometimes scout team, and just mimicking the guy ahead of me. So before I ever became a starter, I was already preparing myself, my mind, everything as if I was a starter and operating in my vision. And so when the opportunity came, which was like in a game where we were down by 3 touchdowns, we were playing against Tennessee. That's when Arian Foster was playing running back. They had Montario Hardesty.
Yeah.
The game was over, man. And finally I got my opportunity when the guy ahead of me made a mistake. He let a guy go in man-to-man coverage, and he ended up scoring. And after that, man, got that call, Coach said, Rennie, you're in. And I was able to answer the call because I had been preparing weeks and weeks before, before anybody ever thought I would ever hit the field. And so that kind of launched me on my trajectory to just do what I did at University of Georgia. And then after that, it was really just about my family, man, about my daughter. She was born my sophomore year at University of Georgia. And once she came, man, it was like that was my ultimatum. I was like, I got to make it. Like, I got no choice.
Yeah.
Got to be able to provide for her. So I just had, like, a different level of motivation than most guys at that level.
Well, Rennie, it was really great having you on the show. We really appreciate the insights. Where can folks go to stay updated with you?
Definitely. Several places. You can go on my website. First and foremost, that's my name, Rennie Curran, RennieCurran.com. And then also on Instagram, same thing, at Rennie Curran. On Twitter, at Rennie Curran53. And I'm pretty much on everything. I got a podcast as well, the Game Changer podcast. So I'm going to be loading up some new podcasts pretty soon here. So I stay pretty active, man, and on LinkedIn as well. So, yeah, if you want to get in touch, if I can help anybody with personal development coaching or as a speaker for any upcoming events, just feel free to reach out.
Well, there you go, guys. Everyone, make sure to hit him up on social media. That's Rennie Curran, everyone. All right, the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060. We'll be right back after this.
Whether you're eating healthy in the new year, celebrating birthdays, or gifting just because, Grubhub e-gift cards complement any occasion. They're customizable, paired with personalized messages, then sent by email or printout, and redeemable right away to easily find and order food from over 1,100 U.S. cities. Grubhub e-gift cards never expire and can be used for delicious orders through the Grubhub.com website or mobile apps. Search by cuisine, restaurant name, or menu item.
You ready to hoop it up?
This is Happenings on the Hardwood.
Now, I know for the past few weeks on this segment we've been covering March Madness, but I'm going to shift away from that for a little bit as there hasn't been that much action leading up to the Final Four. Shift over to the NBA, specifically the Phoenix Suns, as the season is winding down now. This past Thursday, they took on the Los Angeles Clippers. I was at that game. Only had a 3-point deficit going into the fourth quarter, ended up losing by 12. But they have a lot of young talent. Shaquille Harrison had 30 minutes, 17 points, a career high. Here's what he had to say following the team's performance.
Oh, yeah, definitely got to take advantage of it because there's a lot of people out there that want to be in my position. So I'm just trying to make the most of it as I can.
Backup point guard Tyler Ulis also got into the action, leading the Suns in scoring with 23 points. Here's what he had to say on the team's performances thus far.
That we can grow from this. We don't have to have these type of losing seasons because we have a lot of talented players. If we lock in mentally, defensively, anything can happen. We have a little hard time scoring without TJ and Book, but if we lock in mentally on the defensive end, I feel like we can be in a lot more games.
I also got a chance to catch up with Los Angeles Clippers head coach Doc Rivers following the game. Here's what he had to say as his team looks towards the postseason.
Yeah, that was just great. You know, it was like a replay of when we came here in the first quarter. You know, we were just trading baskets all game, and we talked about it at halftime. If we can get a stretch of stops, we had one in the third, and then we gave up 3 turnovers in a row with threes. But that stretch, defensively and offensively, it just changed the game.
Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Anybody wanting to connect with me, the Sports Watchdog, on Twitter can do so at @sportswatchdog, and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well at the Sports Watchdog. So until next time, keep your eye on the ball.
The Sports Watchdog. The Sports Watchdog, Kern.